Sulaiman's Quran slipped from his hand and landed on the floor with a soft thud. Ustaz Sulaiman stood frozen at the doorway, eyes wide, heart racing. There, tangled in soft giggles and forbidden touches, were his two wives, locked in a passionate embrace on the very rug where they'd once prayed together. The air thickened, the silence screamed. One wife gasped, the other didn't flinch. His voice trembled when he finally spoke. "Subhanallah, what have you done?" Amina was a quiet girl from Kano, beautiful in a simple, soft way. She grew up in a modest home with strong Islamic values. Her father was a muezzin, her mother sold spices in the market. She was raised to be obedient, humble, and God-fearing. When Ustaz Ibrahim chose her for marriage, it was like a dream. He was tall, eloquent, and respected across the region for his deep knowledge of the Quran. Women lined up to seek his advice. He was the kind of man parents prayed for their daughters to marry. When he proposed, her family was overjoyed. "He will protect you," her mother said, "and honor you." On their wedding night, he whispered to her, "You will be my only wife, inshallah." Amina believed him. She believed in love, in loyalty, in forever. And when she gave birth to their son, little Musa, she felt complete. It was a quiet morning in January when he dropped the news. "I want to take another wife," he said, not even looking up from his tea. Amina laughed, thinking it was a joke, but he was serious. "Her name is Safia. She's from Katsina. Her family came to me for Islamic counseling. One thing led to another. The world around Amina blurred. "But you promised," she whispered. "I know," he said gently, "but Islam allows it. And I want children, many. But we already have Musa. I want more." And just like that, her world tilted. Amina was furious. Her chest burned with betrayal. The day before the wedding, Amina packed a small bag, took Musa, and travelled to her parents' house. "I need time," she said. She cried into her pillow every night. Her mother was angry too, but told her, "This is the way of our people. Men take more wives. You must be strong." Amina felt alone, suffocating under her hijab of expectations. After a week, Amina returned home. The marriage had taken place in her absence. Safia had already moved in. Her house felt strange. There were new curtains, new scents, and a quiet she didn't recognize. For 2 days, she avoided the new wife, until the third day. She stepped into the living room and there she was. Safia stood in the living room wearing a soft lilac hijab, skin glowing like polished gold. She looked like someone from a dream, not a real woman. Their eyes locked. Amina's heart fluttered. "Assalamu alaikum," Safia smiled. "Wa alaikum salam," Amina replied, stunned. They hugged. And that hug, oh, that hug. It was warm, electric, forbidden. It was supposed to be polite. It turned into something else. The softness, the scent, the warmth. When Amina returned to her room, she leaned against the door, her heartbeat wild. What was this feeling? That night, Amina couldn't sleep. She kept picturing Zainab's eyes, her lips, her laugh. She felt ashamed, but she also felt alive. She hadn't felt this in months, not even with Ustaz. Before marriage, Amina had wrestled with feelings she couldn't speak of. In secondary school, she had felt things for other girls. Warmth, affection, excitement. She kept it buried, knowing her religion forbade such thoughts. She fasted. She prayed. She told herself, marriage will cure it. So when Sadiq came, it felt like a door closing on her past. And for a while, the door stayed locked until now. Their days were polite, cooking together, washing clothes, caring for baby Muhammad. But the air between them buzzed with unspoken desire. Every time their fingers brushed, Amina felt it. She knew Safia felt it too. It was a cool evening. The power was out. They sat in the parlour lit by lanterns. Safia leaned close. "You're very beautiful, Amina," she whispered. "So are you." They smiled. A month later, Ustaz Ibrahim left for Lagos, business with an Islamic conference. He kissed both wives goodbye. Amina watched him drive off, her chest heavy. Now it was just her and Safia. The house felt different without him, quieter, tense. One afternoon, while cooking together, their hands brushed. They laughed. Then they stared, longer than they should have. Safia whispered, "You have beautiful eyes." "Thank you," Amina replied. That night the house was quiet. Amina lay on the floor mat in the parlour, her son already asleep. The electricity had gone out an hour ago, and the heat was beginning to settle in like a thick blanket. Safia came out of her room in a soft cotton wrapper. Her skin glowed in the darkness, lit faintly by the moonlight seeping through the windows. "I can't sleep," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Amina sat up. "Me too." They sat close to each other on the cool tiled floor, speaking in hushed tones. At first it was small talk, about the weather, the food they had earlier, the annoying neighbours. But then the conversation grew deeper, more personal. Safia opened up about her past. "My uncle used to beat me when I was younger," When he found out I was different, when I told him I didn't want to marry a man, that I felt something for women, he said I was cursed. He locked me in a room for 3 days with a Quran and no food. Mariam's eyes welled up. Halima, that's why I said yes to Suleiman. I thought maybe I could be normal. Maybe I could be safe. They sat in silence. You make me feel safe, Safia whispered. But the problem was, safe had become dangerous. Amina listened quietly, her eyes never leaving Safia's lips. Then Safia said something that made the air between them shift. I've always felt different, like I don't belong in the kind of life people expect me to live. Marriage, children, submission. I want more. I want to feel alive. Her eyes locked with Amina's. Amina felt it again, that strange fluttering in her chest. It was like her heart recognized something it had long forgotten. Safia reached out, brushing Amina's hand gently, and just like that, the dam broke. Their lips met, slowly at first, testing, trembling, but the moment they touched, it was as if the entire world disappeared. The heat in the room became something else entirely, something magnetic. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Their bodies spoke what their mouths couldn't. They held each other like they'd been waiting their whole lives for this moment. The sunlight crept into the room like a guilty witness. Amina opened her eyes first. For a moment she didn't remember where she was, until she felt Safia's arm around her waist. She panicked. She sat up quickly, her heart racing. What had she done? Safia stirred, her eyes sleepy but smiling. You're beautiful in the morning. Amina jumped to her feet. We can't do this again, it's wrong. Safia stood too, wrapping the sheet around herself. But it felt right. Amina shook her head. It was a mistake, but deep inside her heart whispered a different truth. That night hadn't felt like a mistake. It had felt like home. Still, she avoided Safia for the rest of the day. She focused on her son, on cleaning, on reading the Quran, anything to distract herself. But her mind kept drifting back to that moment, to the way Safia's skin felt, to the way she made her laugh, to the way she made her feel seen. Days passed, then weeks, and no matter how hard Amina tried to stay away, the pull between them grew stronger. It was like gravity. They would pass each other in the hallway and their fingers would accidentally touch. They would steal glances during prayer. At night, they would find themselves drawn back to the parlour, sitting side by side. Then one night, Amina gave in again, and again, and again. It became their secret world, one built with stolen moments, whispered words and trembling hands. They had rules, never in front of the child, never when the husband was home. But passion doesn't follow rules for long. Ustaz Ibrahim began to notice the change. Amina no longer responded to his touch. She would flinch when he kissed her. She would claim headaches, or tiredness, or stress. He chalked it up to motherhood, or maybe even jealousy over the second wife. He had expected it would take time for the women to adjust to each other, but he had no idea what was really happening under his roof. Ironically, he was pleased they were getting along so well. He often praised them in public for their harmony and maturity. May Allah bless me with more wives like these two, he would say, laughing. Amina forced smiles, but inside she was splitting apart. One evening, Amina stood in front of the mirror. She looked at her reflection and saw a woman she no longer recognized. She missed the girl she used to be. She missed peace. Safia entered the room and hugged her from behind. You've been distant lately, she whispered. I feel lost, Amina said softly. Safia pulled her closer. Then let me find you. That night, they held each other more tenderly than ever before, but something had shifted. This wasn't just lust, it was love, and that made everything even more dangerous. It was a stormy night when Safia brought it up. The candlelight flickered between them as they sat in the kitchen, sharing boiled corn. Safia leaned in close. Amina, she said, voice low, what if it was just us? Amina blinked. What do you mean? I mean, imagine this life without him. Just me, you and Musa. We'd have everything. The house, the money, the peace. Amina's heart dropped. You're not serious. Safia's eyes darkened. He promised you he wouldn't marry another wife. He broke that. Why should we stay loyal to a man who lied? Amina pushed her chair back. Don't ever say that again. Safia stood. Think about it. He's the only thing standing between us and the life we want. No one would disturb us or question our closeness and relationship. Amina left the room shaking. She didn't sleep that night. Safia changed. She became more demanding, more controlling. She wanted Amina to be more open, more daring, more involved. And when Amina resisted, Safia crossed a line. If you don't help me get rid of him, she said one morning. "I'll tell him everything." Amina laughed nervously. "You're joking." Safiya's face was stone cold. "Try me. I love my husband, I won't harm him." "Then prepare to lose everything, because if this gets out, do you think anyone will believe you're innocent? In the north, a married Muslim woman, in love with her co-wife, they will hang us." Amina couldn't breathe. She had gone too far. Now, there was no way back. Amina avoided Safiya after that threat. She stayed mostly in her room with Musa, barely speaking unless it was necessary. But Safiya didn't let up. She kept pushing, dropping hints, giving her cold stares, sometimes even trying to seduce her in front of their husband. One night Amina had a terrible dream. In it, she saw Ustaz Ibrahim lying in a pool of blood. Musa was crying beside him, and Safiya stood in the corner smiling. She woke up sweating. She couldn't let this go on any longer. She had to do something. But what? Ustaz Ibrahim was not a foolish man. He noticed the sudden distance between his wives. The way Amina no longer made eye contact. The way Safiya would whisper on phone calls and quickly cut them when he walked in. One night he asked Amina directly, "Are you okay, my love?" She smiled faintly. "I'm fine. You look like you carry a heavy burden." She wanted to tell him everything. She opened her mouth, but fear gripped her. If he knew, he would never forgive her, so she remained silent. "I'm here if you ever need to talk," he said, gently kissing her forehead. That kiss broke her. She cried the whole night. Amina travelled to her parents' house again under the excuse of visiting them for the weekend. There she opened up to her older cousin Zainab, a married woman. She didn't tell her everything but confessed enough that she and Safiya had crossed a boundary, and that Safiya was becoming dangerous. Zainab looked at her carefully. "Sin only grows in silence, Amina. You have to come clean. If you don't, the devil will destroy everything you love." "But if I talk," Amina said, "I might lose my life." "Then talk to Allah first," Zainab replied, "and let him show you the way." When Amina returned home, Safiya was waiting. "Where did you go?" she asked. "To see my parents. You didn't tell me. I didn't think I needed your permission." Safiya narrowed her eyes. "You're my baby. I was worried. Or, are you planning something?" Amina forced a smile. "I just needed a break." But Safiya didn't believe her. That night, Amina found her searching through her phone. That was the last straw. She locked herself in the room and cried until her throat hurt. Ustaz Ibrahim came home early one day and overheard something strange. The women didn't know he was inside the house. He had parked outside the gate and entered quietly. In the hallway he heard Safiya's voice, sharp and angry. "You think you can walk away from me? After everything we've done together? I never wanted this." Amina's voice trembled. "You wanted me just as much. Now you want to run." Silence. Then Safiya said something that made his blood freeze. "If you don't help me get rid of him, I'll make sure everyone knows what we've done." A door creaked. The voices stopped. Ustaz Ibrahim quietly backed away, his heart shattered. He went into his car and drove to the mosque. There, in the corner of the empty prayer room, he wept like a child. He couldn't understand. His own wives, his trusted Amina, and Safiya, so innocent when he married her. Was he not a good husband? Had he failed them somehow? For hours he sat in silence, praying for guidance. That night he returned home and called both of them to the parlour. Amina knew something was wrong. Safiya acted casual, but her eyes darted about. "I overheard your conversation today," he began. Both women froze. He turned to Amina. "Is it true?" Tears flooded her eyes. "Yes," he looked at Safiya. "And you were planning to kill me?" Safiya didn't deny it. Instead, she smiled coldly. "Now you know." He stood up, rage flashing through his veins, but he didn't touch her. "I will not kill you, but I will not keep quiet either." He walked into his room and locked the door. The news didn't take long to spread. He spoke to his elders and stepped down from his position as Imam. He didn't mention the full story, but whispers travelled fast. The house became a prison. Amina was shamed and avoided by neighbours. Safiya moved out before she could be forced out. She went back to her family, but her name was already stained. Amina felt like her soul had cracked. Amina begged him to forgive her. "I was weak, I was lonely. I never meant to hurt you." But Ustaz Ibrahim didn't answer. For weeks he remained distant. He didn't eat her food. He barely spoke. He prayed often. Alone. He was healing. But Amina was breaking. One morning Safiya sent a letter. It was written in her handwriting, elegant and cold. "I truly loved you and your son. I initially only wanted power, fame and money. Then I saw you, and I only wanted to feel wanted by you. But you broke my heart and never loved me as much as I loved you. I'm leaving for good, and I hope you both rot in the shame you created. Safia. Amina tore the letter and burned it. That was the last she ever heard from her co-wife. Amina went into isolation for 3 days. She fasted, prayed, cried, repented. She begged Allah for mercy. She shaved her head. She donated all the clothes Safia had bought. She took care of her son like he was her second chance. And one night, she knelt before Ustaz Ibrahim and said, "If you cannot love me again, I understand. But please, don't let this sin define who I am forever." He looked at her long and hard, then quietly said, "Change is not in what we say, Amina. It's in how we live after the fire." Ustaz Ibrahim never took another wife. He never resumed his role as Imam, but slowly he began to talk to Amina again. They started walking together in the evenings. They laughed a little. They cried sometimes too. And when Musa turned 3, he kissed Amina on the forehead and said, "Maybe we both needed to fall, to remember how to rise." They renewed their vows quietly in their sitting room. No guests, no celebration, just honesty. Ustaz Ibrahim made it clear, "I forgive you, but we must never live in secrets again." Amina nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. And so, they began again, not as perfect husband and wife, but as 2 broken people willing to rebuild something sacred. And Amina never forgot that part of her life.